Hey, welcome to Vortex Garage. In part 2, we're going to go ahead and walk you through some project updates, even talk about some of them that are putting up a little bit of a struggle. Maybe you can even help us fix our 2001 Ford F250. We'll also talk a little bit about AI, which is interesting, I think. Maybe you'll find it, maybe you won't. And that kind of is what made this a two-parter, because I rambled on a little bit. Now, part 1, we talked a little bit about why I haven't made as many video updates in a while, and you'll want to check that out if you're interested. But otherwise, if you're here for the project updates, let's jump in and get started. So what have we been working on in the meantime? Well, obviously this XJS you've seen some videos on, and it is still here sitting on the lift. We'll do a deeper dive into the cooling system work that we're doing, but to put it plainly, the last set of videos you saw, we had gotten the thing running. Last year I tried to enjoy it and did enjoy it a few times, took it out on some short trips, took it on some very local things, but found each time on the return trip, or anytime I went more than a few miles, I'd see that temp gauge start creeping up into danger territory, and I just do not want to risk a head gasket issue on the V12, assuming we don't already have one. That I don't think we do, but at any rate, I don't want to overheat the vehicle. And I did get back one time, and it was steaming a little bit. Now, we found a couple things in that. I'll show some pictures here. Like I said, I don't want to go too deep in this. We're going to do a little exploratory thing about what led us to this and what we've done so far. But essentially, I found the line to the overflow tank was clogged with like this muddy, dried up coolant stuff. I don't know if someone tried to put stop leak in it at some point or what. So it was over pressurizing. Like that's where the pressure relief would go. When those caps hit 14, 16 PSI, they open up and it dumps into that overflow. Well, that was completely blocked, and it was over pressurizing the whole system. It was actually expanding some of the hood. They were like rock hard. So just bad situation there. I was able to clean that, totally replace the line. Did not fully solve the issue. Also put a new fan with a new fan clutch on. Again, simple, quick things didn't solve it. So the best solution that I have, as I said, just I don't want to harm anything, is it's time to get the thing up here and just go through the whole system and make it right. So we went with a Wizard Cooling aluminum radiator. I'm doing new WaxStat thermostats. And then, of course, while you're at it, everything rubber. You know how that stuff cascades, right? Well, that's kind of where we are. So look forward, within a few days, I'm going to do another video here where we'll dig into this. So I'll show you all we're doing on that, and you can see everything. So aside from that, the XJS, we still have our XJ6, the white one, and I've been doing some work on and off on that, which I have shot some video for, where we're trying to figure out why it's got a rough idle. So it's a very common thing on the 6-cylinder cars. The thing runs pretty well, except when you're sitting at a light in gear, it idles really rough. It's not misfiring, it's just a rough idle. And tried a number of different things, ended up putting a new distributor in it, which helped a lot. The performance is a lot better. So we've done a lot of work to kind of tweak that car, continue to tune it and make it better, but we still got that rough idle. In the meantime, over the winter, it developed a leaking rear brake caliper, which, as you may know on this one, had both of them go. So I've got 2 new rear calipers for the XJ6. Again, I don't feel like dropping the rear subframe and rebuilding it. I'm probably going to just try to do an on-car replacement, even though, honestly, it's probably quicker to just drop the cage out and do it. But that's on deck. I haven't done that yet, so I can't really drive the white one because I got a leaking brake caliper, and it just drips all of its fluid out. So got to fix that. When that is fixed, though, one of the things I'm doing that I think is going to make a great video, again, still got content to edit, but new things I want to do. Many of you have probably seen the AI boom and everything, and I've got experience with some of that stuff. And you know, one of the things that kind of got me was early on I wasn't a huge believer in it, kind of knowing how it was built and how it works. But as it's scaled up, I do think that it has a lot of potential, and it has potential for good and bad, like everything. But what I'm really curious about is, can an AI, like whether it be Grok or ChatGPT or Anthropic, all these other ones out there, can that become your kind of guide in the shop? Can you have your own mechanics assistant? And there are some cool things that I've done. So number one, like I said, I'm gonna make a whole video on this, so I don't want to go into too deep here. But on this one, I had all the hoses that I took off. Well, I took measurements of the diameters of the hoses, the outer diameter of the hoses, And I put them all on a handwritten piece of paper, took a picture of it, uploaded it to the AI, and said, hey, can you turn this into a chart and also tell me the circumference of them? So it took these diameter measurements, it changed them into a chart with the and added the circumference both in inches and millimeters. And then I said, hey, can you tell me what size worm clamps I should need for these? And then I asked it, I said, hey, I'd like to get some high quality clamps. What do you recommend? You know, Breeze, Tridon, etc. And it recommended these nice branded clamps. And I said, okay, well, I need to purchase all of these different sizes, and it was going to be a whole handful of clamps. And if you see back here, I don't know if it's on frame, we ended up purchasing a whole set of clamps from Breeze. Really nice made in the USA clamps. And it turned out that the cost of this kit, it was actually on sale, it was within a few bucks of buying individual clamps. So I was able to get everything I needed, and the AI confirmed every size that I need is going to be in here. There's plenty of multiples to do the job, and I'm going to have plenty left over. So that was a scenario where this AI allowed me to take a handwritten note and turn it into buying the right clamps and getting some high quality stuff that I'll need and use. And those are that way. They are on frame. The next thing that I've been doing with it is I've been chatting back and forth trying to diagnose the idle issue on the XJ6. And I've actually been using one of them. And I have a list of steps that it has 6 things that it ranks in order that I should do. So what I'm going to do is go through those 6 things and see if it fixes them. Now, I've done that by feeding it all the data that I can, and I'm pretty impressed with what it's come back with. At the same time, I've also seen and understood that sometimes these systems, you can push them in a general direction. So if you think that your car is doing something and you go, well, I think it's this, it goes, well, it certainly could be. Let's put that at the top of the list. I don't want that. I want you to help guide me in the right direction. So there's 2 things there really. Can AI be your assistant in the shop, which I think I can prove it is by the hose clamp example, helping me figure out what I need to get. And then the second thing is can it be your guide as you're fixing your car, can it help you actually solve a problem? So we'll do a couple videos there. I want to see if we can fix the XJ6 idle with AI's help. And then I think what I'd like to do is take one of the vehicles, maybe intentionally, I'm trying to figure out how to do this, right? So if you got ideas, let me know. Like intentionally break something or disconnect something or do something, and then come up with a script that says, hey, here's what I see, what should I do? And feed that to the 3 main big ones. You got your XAI Grok, you got your Chat GPT, you got Claude from Anthropic. So go ahead and get on all 3 of those and feed it the same line of data. Respond to its questions. There's probably going to be some variance as it goes on based on how they talk back to you. And see if you can get a list of steps to fix it and see which one gets it right. Now, since I've intentionally disabled the vehicle, I suppose I could just come up with something in my head. That would be one way to do it. I suppose I would just see which one gets it right or gets closest. The other thing I could do is wait, which doesn't take long, for something to come in that is broken. And I could do my data analysis and basically make sure I'm asking them all the same questions or feeding them the data as I go along. We're going to talk a little bit about our F250 that's sitting out there. I don't think that's a good example. I've been chasing a problem with that, but we'll get to that in a second. But I think if we get something that's a little more simplistic, we can kind of test these systems out and see which one's best. So let me know what you think of that, if you think that'd be kind of cool to do. And also, how would you structure that? I'm still sort of planning in my head how I would do that to make a test between them. By chatting with an AI agent at night, can I actually come out, help get a frame of reference on what to do to fix the car? So the other thing we've been working on, I mentioned the 2001 F250. That's kind of our work truck. We did a bunch of work on it back in 2020. Some of it, again, I actually have video I never edited and put up from that, but did a whole ton of work on it, refurbing the thing. And it's been a great work truck. We use it to plow during the winter, use it to haul stuff. It's super capable. But ever since the winter, it's been running really crappy. And it got worse and worse and worse to the point where it was basically undrivable. It was super sluggish, misfiring. And thought it would be a relatively quick fix, and it's one of those things where you kind of go out and I only have a little bit of time here and there, so I work on it. Hey, I got an idea. I think I know what it is. Let me try this. Let me try that. Then it got to the point where, okay, this obviously needs a little more troubleshooting. And then it became more and more. Let's cut to some video, show you what we got going on with that. So our trusty F250 V10 2001, I've been working a lot on this lately and just struggling with it, which is interesting. You can see that we're missing the little cover plate there on the throttle body. So essentially what's happening is it's got a misfire, one that doesn't throw a check engine light, one that is somewhat intermittent, and has been worse and way worse as I've gone through and fixed a number of things. So I think this is a combination of this truck just not receiving some love since I did the refurbishment of it back in 2020, to just being old degraded stuff and having had mouse damage prior. So a couple things. Number one, if we go along the side of it, look underneath, you're going to see new catalytic converter. The muffler was completely rotted out. We basically have a new exhaust system on this truck. Now, the problem we were having at first was not really misfiring so much originally. It was a little bit of puff here and there, but mainly I took it out in the spring to pick up some mulch, filled it up, and the thing just had no power at all. It would not get up and move. And that was even before we filled it with the mulch. It was even worse when it had a load in it. But it was just choking out, and ended up getting to the point where I found a few issues, ran the computer on it. So let me back up. I'm not really doing a good storytelling on this one. So essentially the 2001, this does not have EGR, and it also has a kind of, I would say, decontented OBD2. It doesn't have every sensor that some of the later cars have. So we don't have, for instance, fuel pressure rail sensor. We have to use a mechanical gauge on it back there. We also have, I think, maybe a little more rudimentary misfire count and calculation. I think it's driven by crank sensor movement, and detects imbalances in that. And with 10 cylinders, when you lose one cylinder, it actually kind of can hide itself pretty well, as opposed to a 4-cylinder where you lose one, you're losing 25% of your cylinders. Here you're losing 10%. So in theory, they can kind of hide more. So the first time it was running really, really poorly. It didn't throw a code, but it stored a code for cylinder number 1 misfire. So as you can see here, I've put a new end on it. It was one of the ones that we had repaired, and I thought, well, maybe that was part of the problem. You can see we've got Denso coils. These are less, maybe 10,000 miles, if that. We got new spark plugs underneath those as well. So fixed that, ended up replacing one of the coils with a new one, which I'm not sure where that one ended up, to be honest with you. I swapped them around a few times. Looks like maybe it's that one back there. And to see if it would move, obviously, and put a fresh coil in just in case it was a faulty coil. It seemed to solve it, but then it was still running really sluggish. So we ended up cutting off the catalytic converter, putting on a straight pipe temporarily for testing purposes. Looked in the cat was clogged. So something's ate the cat. So not good. So I went ahead and replaced the catalytic converter. Unfortunately, while I had it off, I did a slightly bit of a test drive just to find out that the performance was there, but the misfire was still there. So we restored the performance of the sluggishness, but we still have this misfire that we're chasing. So done everything that's common, and I didn't really prepare to do this video, so I apologize for the bad storytelling, but as you can see here, I put a new hose that, everyone goes, oh, the PCV elbow is the biggest thing that goes. Well, we already replaced that anyway. Went ahead and put a new hose on. There's a couple more vacuum lines back here. Of course, the big one that goes to the brake booster. Of course, you've got in your zip tube, you've got stuff that goes back there. So essentially, I've smoke tested dead cold the entire thing by propping open the throttle body, putting my smoke test machine in here. The only place that you see a little bit of smoke come out, which I think is normal, is that little vent right there on the IAC. Now, just to be sure, I actually replaced the IAC because I'm at the point where I'm literally throwing parts at it because I just am struggling to get the diagnosis. Again, no change. These hoses are all fine. I did take the MAF sensor out and clean it. It's actually inside here. It goes up underneath there. And I had another one for my Marauder. It's the same one. So I took a known good one and swapped it in, cleaning both of them, and same symptoms. When I check in Forescan, I can see all the MAF sensor data. I can see all the data. Everything looks fine. The only thing that stands out is the short-term fuel trim on bank 1 is running a little lean. So something's causing a lean condition on bank 1. Swapped out the O2 sensors because I couldn't find a vacuum leak, so figured I'd swap the O2 sensors. No change. It reads exactly the same. Like I said, I hate to say, but I've been part scanning a bit here because I'm running out of ideas. Went back and smoke tested a second time. I've taken everything apart. Disconnect the fuel regulator. I've checked the fuel pressure. It seems fine. The pump is only a couple years old and it's a Motorcraft pump. Put a new fuel filter in just to do it. Everything in the fuel system looks okay. It doesn't mean we don't have a fuel delivery problem in the rail or the injectors, and we'll get to that in a second. I'm trying to just recap some of the things that I did. I did pull all the spark plugs. I did find, as is common in these V10s, 2 of them had backed off slightly from when I did them a couple years ago. I got to remember, I got to go and check these darn things for tightness every year. It's got to be part of the annual maintenance on these things. So I went ahead and replaced the 2 that were that had come loose, and they had obviously had caused some lost compression and some misfiring. Put those back in and think I'd solve it, right? I found the smoking gun. Nope, still there. Still got some misfiring. And right now, what it's doing, it seems to misfire more when it's cold, and then when it warms up, it seems to kind of go away, at least not be as prevalent. And it's actually hard to get the misfire counter to even show a misfire, but it is still there. So we're still chasing something. So where I'm at right now, I'm going to devote a day to this thing. I've got all the intake gaskets. I've got the throttle body gaskets. And I have, of course, O-rings for the fuel injectors and a new fuel pressure regulator, because I'm still a little suspect on that. Though disconnecting it and capping it, it runs a little better. So when you max the fuel pressure out, it seems like that helps. That does lead me to believe maybe we've got a fuel injector that's clogged or sticking or not working quite right. Now I've got my fuel injection test machine. So what I'm going to do, we're going to disassemble everything, take the fuel rail out. I could just do the fuel rail. Maybe I start with that, run the injectors through the cleaning. If I find another smoking gun, save my time, put it back together. If that doesn't solve anything, then my next step would be to go ahead and remove the upper and lower intake manifolds, check them. What I'd probably do is check the lower one is plastic. Doesn't seem like they're too prone to crack, but it's always possible. So I could check it for cracks I just fill the darn thing up with water or something like that. Obviously it's not cracked enough to fail a smoke test. But see if maybe that's something. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. I mean, I've been all over the forums, read a ton of things, and all the common issues with these doesn't seem to be my problem, unless I've got a damage to the engine. I did some compression testing. It looked fine. One of them, it seemed a little low, but it was one where the spark plug had blown out and the spark plug well was kind of dirty. So I cleaned it after that and it went back up. So I think we're good there. I could always retest all of them. Like I said, this is one of these where I'm like, I would come out at night, do an hour, I thought a new thing. Let me try this. Let me check these systems, these parameters. Let me give that a try. The only other thing that I have found, of course, it could be wiring. I might need to pull all the loom apart and check all the wires. I can tell you that we have this one that was repaired many years ago. So we're going to replace that one. I've got pigtails for all these, for the injectors, so we're going to do those. And I can also, come in. Obviously, we've got some wiring that might have some prior damage from mice that we could always check and inspect, but everything looks okay there. Not that would be one, I'm just pointing out where some of the stuff is. I also got a fuel pump relay to replace it, just in case the relay's a little goofy. I think I already swapped it, but I'll put a fresh one in. Like I said, I'm getting to the point where I'm trying to pick and choose things that are a couple bucks and toss them in here just to do. This thing's only got like 85,000 miles on it, and it's a beast of a truck. It's a great work truck, hauling truck. I'd like to keep it for that. So I don't mind putting some money into it and also replacing things that'll just be items in the future that I have to do. So like I said, I hate parts cannoning. I kind of feel like I'm doing that a little right now, but we're going to go through and test those fuel injectors, just try to figure out what's wrong with this thing and get there. So and if you're wondering what this is, so we've got the fuse here, the setup. This is all for the front plow. Also got some lights for the plow and things like that. So that pretty much is all to operate that. That's the solenoid pack for the thing, and then our little fuse block. So, yep, this one's been taking up a lot of time, just intermittently, but I think what I'm going to do is devote a day to it. I've got all the parts. We'll rip it apart, just double check all the wiring, test all the fuel injectors, see if we can find the last smoking gun, hopefully. The good news is we have made progress. This thing runs a lot better than it did, and we've definitely found and resolved some issues, but we certainly seem that we need to do a little more. If I do pull the intake, I went ahead and pre-purchased the little water pipe that comes off the back of the water pump and goes to the back. That's going to rust out, and that is something I'd be worried about on this truck from its age. So that's ready to go if we do strip it down that far, which I might do anyway, because again, mice get under there, squirrels, whatever, they leave stuff underneath the intake. It'd be nice to clean the V of the engine out, just make sure everything is solid and put back together, and hopefully solve it. So yeah, that's where we are with this one. All right, in the meantime too, let's cut to another video, because right behind where the truck is parked, we have a snapping turtle that keeps coming up to the house, and I think it's been trying to find a spot to lay eggs. And in fact, I think as I'm speaking on this video right now, it's laying eggs. Let's go take a quick peek and see what's going on. I'm pretty sure this is not little. It's not the biggest snapping turtle I've ever seen, but looks like she's laying some eggs right near the sidewalk. This particular spot gets a lot of sun. Don't want to spook her too much, but I'm pretty sure that it's come around a few times now, and I think this time it's actually laying some eggs. We'll leave her be. All right, so back to the car stuff. What else have we been working on? So let's see. I do have a few things kind of coming in soon. The TR6 that we've had some videos on is probably going to come back in a couple weeks or a couple months, depending on when the parts arrive. But we found a power steering kit. The owner really wants to convert to electric power steering, and we found a kit that looks like it's going to work. It's on its way coming in, so that's one that we'll do as well. And we'll certainly show you how that works. I know the purists of you out there are not going to like that, but these kits, they're really great. They don't hack up the car. It's not like adding a hydraulic power steering where you're really having to do a lot of work or modify. You're literally just, it's a replacement column with the ePass system in it, a little bit of wiring, totally removable, totally can put it back to manual steering. You're not destroying the essence of the vehicle. And they even have dials. You can, basically they only work in parking lots. You get it on the road, the assist goes away. You can dial it in or program it so it doesn't do that. So, I think it's a neat thing. They're not cheap. I think in parts it's gonna be about $2,500, but if you're someone who really could value that experience on the low-speed driving, it's not a bad option. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how the kit works. Had to do some mobile diagnostics. We had a Honda Civic 2004. It was actually my wife's old car. It's with another family member right now. And unfortunately, it overheated a few times. Didn't diagnose a head gasket originally, but realized that it probably was. A lot of times those 1.7s, they don't show in the little coolant pressure tests and various things that you do with the combustion fluid that changes color. Nothing in the oil, nothing like that. What it seems to be doing, though, we finally were able to get some more data and information. This car, it runs great, can't get it to overheat at all, but then eventually after a while it'll finally overheat. What it's doing is it's over pressurizing the cooling system, and it's actually blowing coolant out through the overflow bottle, and then by the time it cools off, it sucks some of it back in. Everything seems fine when you look at it if you're not paying close enough attention and looking at the state of that bottle after a drive. Eventually it keeps doing that until it blows out enough coolant. It either gets an air bubble or has low coolant enough that it overheats. So pretty confident that's what's happening. So to be sure, I did go down here some pictures I'll throw on the screen here. We did a leak down test on it. Unfortunately, we've got excessive leakage in a number of the cylinders. So not sure what's going to happen with that car, if it's going to get fixed or what. Yeah, unfortunately that car looks like it's a head gasket. Another thing we're working on that's come in here, and I'm not proud of this one. It might have been on the picture with Gwen, or I held the camera to hide us from, oh, you just saw the wheel. She's still sleeping. She's sleeping because the aura of this vehicle has put her to sleep. I know some of you may like these things. I am not a fan. Okay, I'm always hard on Priuses. Anyone who knows me, I've been joking about these things since they came out. And I actually think the first gens were really cool. I think the second gens, and this one actually kind of solved some of that. The second gens just look so goofy. They were kind of a status symbol of what they were at the time. This one I think is more just really great, smart commuter. I could see that definitely. But the thing, I don't know. Yeah, not my cup of tea. I'll just put it that way. We're trying to get this thing fixed up for somebody. And as you can see, we got the headlights out here. One of the headlights was flopping around in there, and there was some water got into the headlight assembly there, so it just had it out to dry out. Fair bit of corrosion on stuff in here, but 167,000 miles. It seems to be running fine. It needs brakes. So we've got it in here. We're going to put it up and do the brakes on it. And you got to pull the 12-volt battery out because of the way the electric brake system works. So I've gone ahead and done that. While I'm at it, we're going to go ahead and put in one of those Toto stereos, or the 7-inch head unit with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Also we're going to add a USB port under there. I'm not going to film this. I know some of you might want to see that, but there's content already out there for that. I'll show you what it looks like when we're done. What I've been debating right now is the backup camera and whether or not I want to do one. I typically do them if I do the setup, and this is going to a family member, so I don't mind doing a little bit of extra work on it. But the problem is this stupid thing's a hatchback, and that means I got to run the wire from the reverse lamp all the way up and then all the way back down, and the signal wire and the camera all the way through there. And well, you could just turn your head and not have a backup camera, and I'd save probably about 2 hours of work and yanking a bunch of panels off. So I'm still debating that one. I probably should have been working on that today, but here we are. I'm not. And but the faster I get this done, the faster this thing leaves. And I've strategically parked it in the middle of the bay here so I can't fit anything in. And I know when we get storms or whatnot, I'm going to want a car in here. So it's going to encourage me to finish this one rapidly and get it out of here. Look at that little buddy. Look at that big buddy. As for some recent videos that we posted, we had some of that red convertible Mustang Fox body. So the last one we had was a mechanical inspection. I've got a video that's almost done that I've been slowly editing where we figured out why it would intermittently not start. Now on that one, it turned out to be, I thought I had enough data on it and threw a distributor at it, thinking that the optical pickup or the mag pickup in it wasn't working right. And it turned out that wasn't the case. The symptoms were there, but I did not do a signal test to see and confirm that's actually what was happening. I basically got like 80% there with the data and went, yep, that's it, let's put it in. My thing that I'll say on the video was, well, you know, it's a 170,000 mile distributor, it's gonna have worn bushings and everything, might as well toss a rebuilt one in anyway. So in all respects, it's not necessarily a bad thing, not to mention we were able to time it. I won't give away what it was, but we found out something else was causing the problem. It was also contributing to some general drivability issues. We went ahead and found it, confirmed it with readings. We're going to do that in the video. The only slight issue I have with the video is it's a little long. It's probably going to be in the 40 to 50 minute range. I'm trying to trim it down. And again, you all tell me, I know a lot of people say, hey, we prefer the shorter videos, but you know me, I talk too much. This video is probably going to be 30 minutes. So might just get it up there. It might split into 2 parts. We'll see. Yep, a lot of mix of other people's stuff. Last year, so if you follow us on Instagram, you can kind of keep up with things we're working. So I'm a little better at posting like pictures there. But last year around this time, we had a 59 Corvette come in from a friend of mine. We put in a Blueprint Engines 350 in it. It's going to freak a lot of people out that we took the 327 Corvette engine out of it, but it was not an original engine. The engine was out of a 66, so it was already not numbers matching. It's already a little bit modified. So he was perfectly happy in what he wanted to do, and it's his car. He chose to do this. We put the Blueprint engines in it. Really, really runs great. He's enjoying it. We did that engine swap here and did not video that. Just did not want to get cameras near this guy's nice, you know, $100,000 Corvette.
But I'm saying the idle is so. Don't push this button. I mean, I don't feel
this. But did get some pictures and did that work for him. And at some point, we've been meaning to custom run some new spark plug wires because we just, whatever came on the Blueprint engine we used, but I think on the Corvette it'd be nice to longer route them back and behind like the original engine had. So we also dissected the 327, found a wiped cam. It also had a blown head gasket. So I'm pretty sure what happened on that one, head gasket blew, it contaminated the oil, lost lubricity, and then it ate a couple lobes on the camshaft and ruined some lifters and also had a bent push rod, oddly enough. So how that all unfolded and happened, the interesting thing was that car drove into the shop. It didn't sound terribly good, but he drove it in here. So like I said, there's been all kinds of, I'm sure there's a number I'm missing. We're always busy with something. But like I said, that's just a little recap of what we've been working on, but also why video updates have been few and far between. I'll do my best to try to keep you updated with more stuff. And if you want to see something in particular, drop a comment and let me know. We can try to prioritize that, or I can just grab the camera and do a little 5-minute video. All right, until next time, we'll see you here on Vortex Garage.